Hi, Sarah.
Hi, how are you?
Okay, how do I make this thing fill my screen?
Are you on an iPad or a laptop?
I'm on a laptop.
You go to the upper right, you should have something that says view.
Okay, got it. Speaker, gallery, multi-speaker. What do I want? I want multi-speaker, right? No.
I have
Full
gallery, so
screen.
I can see
Full
everyone.
screen. There we go.
Or-
I got it. Hi, Tom. Hi, Sandra.
Hey.
John.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Noreen, good evening.
Hi,
Welcome to the committee.
thank you.
And
Hi,
there's
Denise.
Denise. Good evening, Denise.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello, hello.
Sarah, who is iPhone?
Is that Kristen?
Oh, that must be yes. But had
The same question was last time, and ultimately she got connected, and
right. You're right, Tom. I'd forgotten that. I'm on phone, but I can't unmute. Okay. Okay, thank you, Kristen. I'm glad you're there. So type us any messages or questions that you have, because you did a nice commentary on the list of things that I did. So I appreciate that. Okay, I'm going to declare the meeting open and recognize Noreen as being a guest to our committee meeting, which is delightful to have guests. And I think she is the only guest that we have. Okay. Review of last month's minutes. Has everybody had a chance to look at the minutes?
Yep.
Entertain a motion to accept them if anybody has anything to add. No?
So moved.
Thank you. Do I hear a second? I will second.
I can second, sorry.
Okay. All in favor? Oh, any discussion?
Aye.
All in favor? Aye. Great. Anybody?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Anybody abstaining? Okay, we are through the minutes part. Great. Treasurer's report. John, I didn't see your treasurer's report. Is it the same as last month?
I didn't send one because it's the same as the one we saw in January.
I assumed it was, so
We
thank
haven't
you.
sent any money or received any money sent in the interim.
Right, great. Thank you very much. Okay, next item on the agenda, review of any works that have happened during the last month. Mostly works online, tremendous work online from Sandra and Tom. Thank you very, very much. You guys have been amazing in putting all that stuff together. I think it came through the email to everybody.
Yeah, I don't have Noreen on it, so she's not familiar with it, but everybody else on the committee got it.
Okay, great. Noreen, I'm sorry that you don't have it, but it's a list of basically a whole bunch of different kinds of lists and things, and some wonderful maps that Tom put together about the Arboretum. And I don't know how to do this.
Well, if I gave you my email, could it be sent to me? Not now, but later.
Sure, absolutely. What is your email?
N Stellick, so that's N as in Noreen, and then Stellick, my last name, Stehlik. It's on the screen
Okay,
At-
got it.
at Verizon.net.
And you know
Okay, I'll
what,
be happy to-
Philippa, I'll take care of doing that.
Oh, thank you, Denise.
Yeah, I'll forward that on to her.
Okay, that's
Okay, so you got the address.
I did. Yes, I did.
Okay, thank you.
terrific. Thank
You're
you very much.
welcome.
That's a great sweater you have on, by the way. I love the design on that sweater, Denise.
Oh, thank you.
Really stunning. Wow.
Thank
You
you.
knit it?
Oh,
you-
no,
Oh,
no,
it's beautiful. Wow, very impressive.
thank you.
Okay. Just before we get to the work projects that you guys did, I just want to let you know that before the snow and ice came, I got enough cardboard down to pretty much cover the whole of the back of the rain garden. So there's a small area to the right which has not been covered, but
Mhm.
everything else has been covered with thick cardboard and then weighted down with the snow and ice that we've got. So that has all been taken care of.
Thank you.
So do we want to go to the work that you've been doing? That counts as projects.
Oh, me?
But yeah, why didn't you start with you then, Sandra?
Well, did you want to start with all the questions and stuff first? Because that was
Should we do
kind
that
of why I
work
wanted to
first?
focus this meeting.
We can do that one. And we also have to address Noreen's questions about the garden club that John sent us. You sent us a number of suggested things that we could ask the garden club for, but I think we should do probably the town questions first then, and keep the other questions till later.
Yep.
Yeah, and we
okay.
might, and I think because we've got a lot of work things, it might, I didn't see for some reason, I might have missed it, Noreen's questions. So maybe there's something that we have answered. I don't know.
Yeah, we probably have it right in. We have it right in here. It's really prioritizing, I think. Okay.
Yeah.
So the first question was, what successes and achievements would the Arboretum Committee like to share from the last 10 years? Does everybody have that?
Mhm.
Sandra sent that out to us.
I didn't send that as a, oh, you did. I was gonna say, I
No,
didn't send that
Sandra,
as a
Sandra
question.
sent this to us. Yeah. This
Yeah,
came
yeah, it was a questionnaire, Noreen, that was put out by the P and Z Commission to the Arboretum
yeah.
Committee. And Philippa got started with a bunch of questions, and then Kristen threw some thoughts in, and I threw some thoughts in, and Tom looked at it, and we kind of just mushed it all together into one document right now. And I know that the other three committee people probably haven't had a chance to weigh in, so this would be a good time to do that.
Has everybody got that document except for Noreen in front of them?
Mhm.
Is there anything you'd like to add to that first? Remove or add to that list?
Do you want to share it and so we all see it and then?
Yeah, I can share it. Hold on.
Noreen, I think I just sent it to you. I don't know if you have access to email, but you would be able to open the attachment if you do, just so you can join
Can
in.
you, I think I just shared my screen. Can everybody?
Oh,
see it?
wow, lovely.
Oh
Can
my
you see it?
goodness.
Does it work?
Yes.
Yes.
So here's the share on it. So it's just basically what the questions were. And then I don't want to read through these, but if there's anybody that has any additions or anything.
Well, that's what I thought. There's no point in reading everything through. We've all got copies. It's a waste of time. to read
Right.
them.
And you can send, when do you need it done by? Because if anybody wanted to look at it, if they had any questions, they can just send it through and I can, put it on.
I think we should send it in as soon as possible, just so that they have
Okay.
it.
So there's
Uh,
the last 10 years. Is there anything that we need to add or take away?
Are we still, the only thing when I was going through what projects, and hey, you're on that screen, sorry, I'm on my screen, I flip back to you, is do we still do things with the elementary school, or do we do things with the Girl Scouts, or are we not doing either?
This year we haven't done either. The
Okay.
elementary school included us in their tour. They bring the kids
Oh, I forgot about that. tour.
orchards and the
Yep,
pink
yep, yep,
house,
yep,
and they
yep.
included us in that tour. They have not done that for the last 2 years, but
Yeah.
we have done it within the last
Last
10
10,
years, which is what
okay.
this question asks for.
Okay.
The Girl Scouts, that was my daughter's Girl Scout troop,
Yep.
and since she is no longer in Woodstock, that the Girl Scout troop has not been involved.
But in the past 10 years, they have been.
But they have been in the 10 years. Yes, they've been several years they've been involved. Montessori came and had a graduation at the Arboretum within the last 10 years. So the question was within the last 10 years. So is anything else that we can think of putting in here?
We're all pretty new, so
Yeah.
we're relying on you guys.
When was the rain garden put in?
That was done in, I have it on my, wait a minute, let me look at my database. It's in my database on the 4th tab. Hold on. I think I put it in there. If I
Was
have,
it within the last 10 years?
I don't recall.
Yes,
Yes, in the last 10
I
years.
believe it. I
2015.
believe it was within the last 10
Yeah.
years.
It was right here, 2015. It's under the
Just-
task
Oh, well,
of
that's just the
landscape.
last 10 years, actually.
Yeah. I
So I
didn't,
think
I
we
didn't
can put
include that because I wasn't sure when it was put in, and I wasn't on the committee when it was put in, so,
I'll put rain garden installed.
sure,
I'll put what year? 2015.
right.
All right, so I got that.
And, I mean, several trees have been planted and died.
Yeah, I was starting to keep track of that in the database here. So if you go over here and you look at the database, this is the history that I have. So some of them obviously have died. We don't know that yet until we finish our doing our going through and collecting all the trees, which we will get into later. But I put here the year died if we had it. If we didn't, I just put died.
Mhm. I would
So I think this list is going to get much longer at some point, but I wanted to get the manifest done for this year, which we'll get into in a little bit,
Right. I think the shade garden was put in before the rain garden, so that, but I think that's outside the 10 years.
I didn't, I have the information on that. I think that would be under probably the hostas. Let me see. So if I go into the perennials and I look up hosta here.
Well, that's a different bed, Sandra.
Oh, it's not that bad. Which
There's
bed?
a hosta bed, there's a daylily bed, and then there's the shade garden bed.
Do you know what plants are in there? Because I don't have it by
The shade
bed.
garden is a whole variety of plants. Linda Kaplan put in a whole range of different plants in the shade garden.
I'll take a look and see, because I did find that this is the native woodland garden. If I had that information, so I put it here, under there.
And does it say when?
Year planted 1995.
Oh, wow.
Those
That's-
were done in 95.
Yeah, that, so
So
that's
if I had a date, I put it in. If I had a receipt, I put where we bought it from.
right.
You know,
I-
I don't think that Linda was here that long ago. We can
Wasn't.
ask her when she put it in, but that's like 30 years ago, and it's not clear to me that she's been in town that long.
No, because she did that as part of her master gardener
Correct.
certification. So that may be
Yes.
within the last 10 years.
Okay.
I know, I think that is something worth pursuing. I could find out and
That
because I've been
would
talking.
be great. I had a
Well, I-
brochure on it, but I was just gonna look it up. I don't think the brochure had. Does this look familiar?
Oh, I can't really see that.
Yeah,
No.
there's one that says Yukon Master Gardeners, doesn't have a name.
Right,
does
well,
it
that,
So
anyway,
this one says planted 2014-15.
well,
It
might be able to
looks like
count it
it's,
then.
it looks like it's this, it looks like it's all of, it goes from Bellwort down, hold on.
That's it. That would be Linda Kaplan's garden. And 2014-15, once again, we're right on the border of the
Do you want
right.
me to put it in then?
Yes.
You can,
Put
sure,
it
why
in.
not?
Okay,
Put it in.
and that's called the,
It's called the shade garden.
she called it the Woodland Garden.
Well,
her
it's the
brochure,
sign
that's
there
what I
says
have.
shade garden, but that's fine.
Yeah, that's what I have here, where it says native woodland garden, that would be it right here.
Right.
Says 19.
But those
Yeah.
dates are not right.
What's that? Oh,
The rows where you have woodland garden, you have dates installed in 1995, and that's too far back.
then that's a mistake. See, that's why we need to do this. I should have put 2015. So I might have been copying it. I did a lot of work on this, so I am wholeheartedly anticipating some typos. So I will fix that.
Terrific. Thank you, Sandra.
So that should be 2015. So I'll correct that. So the woodland,
Installation of woodland garden.
okay. If anybody, as you're working on it, comes up with anything, let me know. As I said, I did some cutting and pasting. So,
Okay, moving on to the next question. What projects does the Arboretum Committee plan to work on in the next 10 years?
so that was the master landscape hardscape plan that Tom did, which we'll go into. The plant database is what I was just showing you. And then you guys can read through the rest of it.
I think that's fine.
Okay. While we've got, don't go beyond that, keep
Yeah.
that right there, because this, John, would be where we would draw what we would request from the garden club for their grant funding, right? One of these projects.
Or more than one of those projects, but I think this list here is necessarily a very high level thing. And we may want to come at more detail for the next, say, 2 years, 3 years,
Mhm.
and say, okay, this tree needs to come down. There's an empty place here. You know, we sort of have to rank the things we want to do. You know, for example, replacing the poplar that fell down. I mean, we may want to do that. We know we have to take the beech down, so that's one of the things that we have to put on our sooner rather than later list.
Right. I just think we ought to have something that would appeal to the garden club.
Well,
Well, I think, I don't know if it's listed in here, but we do need to obviously put in, just a, like, more general of what John is saying. It's like replacement of tree, replacement and installation of new trees.
Okay.
And new gardens, because one of the things that we were looking at and again, when we get to Tom's drawings, is that even if we go through and decide we're going to do the philanthropic and fundraising and blah, 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 and actually create something, which is what he's going to show, that whole area where there's all of the Pachysandra, where all of those daylilies need to get moved. And I know that Kirsten's doing a lot of the seeds and stuff, and that could be the perfect flower, a really nice entry flower garden. That would be a spectacular thing for the garden club to help on, I would think.
Right.
I
What-
hear what
what-
Sorry, go ahead, Noreen.
so what the garden club is going to need is the first bullet on your list, which is a master landscape plan. but
We're
I-
gonna show you a little bit of that after
Great.
this.
So, and then the other thing I think that you might want to add would be what you guys have just been saying about design and plant new garden beds or garden areas following the master plan or something like that, so that to indicate that it's,
Right. I think John has a good point about pointing it directly to trees. Sandra, I'm concerned about the flowering part, that would be left for us to maintain because we don't get follow-up from the areas that sometimes are planted with flowers. So before we do that, if we're going to do this, apply for the grant right now, I'm thinking of replacing trees. Don't
Yeah.
have to be maintained.
Oh, yeah. Whatever this is all put out here for this conversation to have.
Right.
So we need to identify and identify dead trees.
well,
Right.
that's down there. Identify and remove at-risk dying trees and limbs.
Yeah. So do you want
That's
me
already
to?
there.
Yeah. So I think this is a little later. I mean, I think that for what they need, it's less. I was trying to, like, if you go down here, what challenges do we have? I just put, for the brevity of this questionnaire, we'll leave this as bullets for now, because I think each one of these opens up like lots of information that we do have to flush out, but I feel like that is a little granular for what they're asking us to do for this, but this would help us focus.
Right. No,
On that,
I would
I don't
agree on
know.
that. Yeah, I hadn't meant you to put that stuff in on this list. It was part of the discussion of the response to the garden club, but that's not this list
Do
necessarily.
you want me to put liaison reestablish liaison with the Woodstock Garden Club?
It's the Quiet Corner Garden Club now.
Okay.
Sure.
Oh,
Um,
that's actually a good goal, I think.
Establish relationship with the Quiet Corner Garden Club.
Excellent. Okay, anybody else see any other goals that we should put in here? These are not being prioritized, they're just there.
Right.
I think that we got the landscape covered, but I don't think these are going to be ranked on the weight of the submission.
Right.
Can you go back up
Sarah?
to the question real quick? Thank you. Projects. Okay. I wonder if putting on there is worth it. And I know you guys are focused on like involving the Quiet Corner and the grant, but also like creating and maintaining a solid volunteer base.
Yeah, that's what this was, the established an Arboretum group to
Okay,
foster
sorry,
additional
sorry.
volunteer and philanthropic relationships. Does that cover it, or should I say it differently?
I mean, I just question if they read aren't we the Friends of the Arboretum? I know, I get what you're saying, but
So what I could do is establish Arboretum, Friends of the Arboretum, and then would be to, how would you word that, Sarah?
let's see.
It's not foster, we need to actually, we really need to,
Just say create.
Create, yeah.
yeah,
To
create,
a
what'd you say?
volunteer and volunteer. We need to create a volunteer base and
Create,
then also philanthropic relationships
yeah. Okay,
because we have neither.
right.
If I may ask, what is the Friends account? Then? I thought that was some sort of a Friends of the Arboretum. It's not.
It's
We
just a
don't have
random money account that when we get donations and that people who feel sorry for us.
Oh,
give
I
us
see.
money.
So there is at this time no Friends of the Arboretum
It's not
501c3.
established, it's more, I guess the word, that's the wrong word. I think what we need to do is grow
Yeah.
grow
Well,
the,
reestablish.
Well, no, I think actually established might be the right word, because don't you want, I mean, if you want a separate one, then you want its own 501c3 to act in cooperation with the town and with this committee, right?
Yeah, I think
I'll-
Noreen's point is a good one, that we need to establish a separate nonprofit organization to support the Arboretum, because they can do fundraising in ways that the town can't.
Right, and they can apply, there are certain kinds of grants that only nonprofits, for example, can apply for, that the
So
town cannot.
establish a nonprofit, what did you say, John?
What you've got there is fine.
I'll put Arboretum group, Friends of the Arboretum.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
all righty.
Yeah, excellent. And the money that we have right now in the Friends of the Arboretum account, could that be transferred or does that belong to the town?
That, in theory, it could be transferred, but that would require delicate negotiations.
Okay.
And you do need to be careful about how hard we push on a separate nonprofit and how successful it is, because if it gets to be successful, the town's going to say, well, we don't need to support you guys anymore because you've got this other pot of money.
Right. Well,
The
they say-
libraries.
I would love to
run into
worry
that
about
all the
that,
time.
John.
I'm sorry, Sandra, I stepped all
No,
over
I
you.
said I'd love to worry about that.
What did you say
Well-
about the libraries? Did they stop supporting the libraries because there are some volunteers?
No, I said the libraries are very careful about how they report their fundraising activities,
I
so
see.
they don't lose the money.
I see, okay.
So one thing we didn't put in here was I thought we were gonna do plan and install new trees and garden beds. Because right now, that's the meat of what this place is, you know,
Isn't that what we have
continuing-
done, the second to last point? Identify and plant climate appropriate trees?
And
And
I'll
other
put-
plantings, maybe.
yeah, I'll put I'll put trees, shrubs, and other plantings.
Right.
Okay,
No,
Does that satisfy your concern, Tom?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else people would like to have in this section?
okay, next section. Again, this is the one that I kind of left what you had, Philippa, because it just seemed like huge. Each one of those is a huge topic. And
Right.
I just feel like it just opens up stuff that we haven't even spent time talking about.
Well, and I think this is all fine. I mean, this survey isn't intended to be chapter and verse. It's just
Yeah.
to
Right.
give the Planning and Zoning Commission
Right.
an outline of what's going on in town and what are all the various groups doing in town.
And I
Right.
think it's a great idea.
Is there a new chair of
Is-
planning and zoning, or is it the same person?
I think I think Dr. Gordon has stepped down and I don't know
Yeah.
who's doing it now.
Let's look it up. Okay.
So the only thing I would say, well, actually two things, is pathways and gathering areas. I'm not sure if that's going to have, I mean, the other things kind of have intrinsic meaning or make sense to somebody as an outsider, but pathways and gathering areas, I take it that improvements are, needed improvements to pathways and gathering areas or something. I mean, or
Well,
creation.
yeah, it's creation of. Creation.
Well, I think that the other thing I would say is, and I know you mentioned it up above, but I think that drainage is a huge challenge. In
Well, it's
general
not just
here.
drainage, it's drainage, and we don't have any sprinklers, waters, or anything like that either,
Well,
so.
then the drainage and water issues. I mean, I don't see a problem with putting them together. I agree with you. I think it is an issue because there is no, and maybe you could put in parentheses because there's no well, right? No water source.
Well, we have one at the,
The historical historical
yeah,
building
so
has-
right now, we take a hose and we can get it out to some of it.
Right, well,
That's, yeah.
Well,
It's
let's
still
just,
an issue
yeah.
because it's free. So,
but
No,
see,
I'd
that
like to-
doesn't, I think that you should be, it's not just drainage and water issues suggest it's exactly the same, but there can be too much water because there can be flooding, but there's also if we have times of drought, there's no
how about
system.
drainage and drought issues, and just leave, we'll just do
Oh,
instead
now
of
that
issues,
works.
just call it drainage and drought. Let's just call it that and then come back to it later. If
Mhm.
they want to
Right.
know more, they can, because we don't have any well, Tom's got a few solutions, but we don't have.
Right.
Well, they're
Okay.
problems, yeah.
Okay, any other problems, or can we move to the next section? Okay, next one. What land use specific concerns does the Arboretum Committee have that PZC should know about? Here we're specific about the driveway drainage concern,
Mhm.
invasive species, tree
Mm.
health, and program improvement plan.
Yeah,
Do we really want Z&C to provide oversight?
No,
I don't
not
think
at all.
I
No,
don't think we do. I'd like to eliminate
No.
that last one.
okay.
No offense. The
No,
new chair is
that's
David
fine.
Morse.
We
No
just
offense.
weren't sure if we're going with it, so that's why you guys are here. It's always easier to take it out than it is to create something like
Yep.
this in
Yeah.
a meeting.
Well, thank you so much. You're doing a
I think
fantastic job here.
For what changes for the next question, climate change.
What's
That's our
that?
biggest problem. For what changes is there, it's just by facing the future that potentially be addressed locally. climate change. I don't know how you address it locally, but
Yeah.
I think they need to understand that this is like not because of poor maintenance, that there's other factors that we will never be able to control that we're
Right.
trying to mitigate at this time.
I think
Yeah.
I think we need to say why, and I think you can say climate change will complicate care for the trees in the Arboretum because they were designed for a colder Northeast than we're now experiencing.
Well, and also there's the invasive species that are moving up from the south.
Yeah,
as the
we've got,
wind-
yeah,
No,
we've
I know
talked-
you said that earlier, but
so, okay, I'll
but
put
if you're-
that in.
I wouldn't say, Sandra, I know it's horrible to be the scribe in a situation like this, and my
What do you want?
condolences, but I wouldn't say intended. I would say just
We are
than
experiencing,
normal
when
for their
planted.
species.
then
then,
previously, right?
Just, yep,
then,
Or historically,
okay,
Then
then,
historically, right?
yeah.
it's a which instead of they up there.
where,
They. Okay.
okay. Got it.
Wait. Which are experiencing. What is the subject then? The trees are experiencing?
Trees in the Arboretum, yeah.
No, the weather is, so, the climate change. So maybe it needs to go this way,
Yes.
are experiencing which is causing
Climate-
it.
Or just say climate change is driving warmer temperatures than historically experienced here or whatever.
Warmer
Complicating care for the trees.
Yeah. Thank you. I think that works.
And I think the questionnaire was an online survey, so you may have to figure out how to upload this.
Oh, was it?
I thought it was a Survey Monkey survey.
Oh, maybe you can just do a cut and paste. That's okay. At least we have it. I wouldn't, if you want me to, Philippa, maybe you and I can get together, we can just upload it.
Sure.
Okay. I didn't realize that. All right, does this committee have any concerns or comments regarding the future development of the town? And this is what Philippa put in. So I don't know if,
I think that's fine.
I did add the potential philanthropic opportunity because I think it is. And then I threw in a little bit about the history because I don't know who's reading it.
I
But
think the history
if
is
it's
fine.
a Survey Monkey, they might, it's gonna be moot point anyway.
No, but I think it's fine because I just looked at the board and like, I think it's newer people. There's the P and Z has gone through some changes, it looks like,
Okay.
from the last time I looked at this board.
So this looks good so far?
Oh.
Yep.
Wait, going back to the history, if you're gonna say that, that sentence about to this day Woodstock retains ownership, it should say of the Arboretum, right? Because the town hall the Palmer Town Hall belongs to the Historical Society now. Yes, of the Arboretum.
Okay. I cut and paste. I don't write those things.
Ah,
So that's that.
John, you're right. It is a Survey Monkey. I'm just looking at the original request from the town. That the members are invited to take the survey at this link, so we will need to upload it to that link somehow. Yes.
I have, I'm available tomorrow, but I'm not available on Friday. So if you have time tomorrow, Philippa, I could either go to your house or we could come to mine and
Sure.
just do it.
Sounds good.
We can, are you going to class in the morning?
Yeah. How about doing it after?
Yeah, we can
exercise?
decide then.
Okay,
All
great.
right. So, on the next on the list, this was the, again, that I'll fix that, on there, but I went through and spent quite a bit of time on the trees, and I started putting some numbering in here so that it will correspond with the numbers at some point. And then these are all, I put in this tree type because it's so hard, everything's called something else. So I put in kind of what I thought it was, just so that we could find it. And then I looked up, if I didn't have it, the botanical name, and then I looked up how big it got and where it's native to. If it was on the manifest, that's what I'm calling these, in 1933, there were 2 of them then. It showed up again on this date, it was on this date, and showed up here, which means this probably is either the original or it was planted at some point. Some of these I don't think they might have been there originally, but then I did notice a bunch of replanting. So this is pretty much what I have now. Tom and I went out this weekend. There are a few trees that aren't listed, so we did have a little bit more to do, but I think we've pretty much captured everything. And I was able to find out where it was done. Here's where, if it died, I was able to do that spot. So there's a few things. I still have some cleaning up to do on it. If it's invasive, I put a note here. If this one says sometimes it's considered a weedy or invasive species, other times it's just a yes. So I put that in so that we're familiar with that.
Based on video.
What's that?
What happened? Oh, there we are. Okay. I'm on the phone. I'm on a meeting, darling. I'll see you later. Okay.
Okay. And then I put in all the shrubs. There's one that I couldn't identify off of the information. Again, the same thing. I still have some rhododendron. I've been looking up the botanical names. I haven't finished. When I grab that, I'll grab that in the color when it blooms and if it's native. Again, if it shows up on a manifest, I put, when it showed up. Again, whether it's still here or not, I don't know. Whether it died, I don't know. But this is where it showed up. I have noticed that they planted, you'll probably see a couple of these.
I'll talk right now. I'm on a meeting, darling.
Okay.
Talk to you later. Bye.
Some of these might show up more than once. That's because they were planted in different years. So if you see like these right here, here's a good example. These, how do you say that? This rhododendron, chinoides, they were planted in 1989 and then in 2004. So, and if I knew how the quantity was, I put a quantity after them. I didn't always have that. So hopefully we're starting to capture some of the garden material that was actually put into the garden here. Then the perennials are here. Again, same thing. I haven't gone through and finished all the botanical names. Not quite sure where they were. I guessed on a couple of them. If they were given to me, I don't know where they are. This is if it was in any of the old notes. So again, I'll fix the native garden, but and put that in. As I said, that was probably just a cut and paste error. And then landscape.
Amazing piece of work.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot of work.
She's been working on this like every time I'm coming to the house, he's like, "Oh, what are you doing?" "Oh, I'm working on this list."
Yeah,
list."
Sandra, this is amazing. Wow.
When Philippa dropped off the binders, it's like I'm trying to figure out what the trees are. And what this does show, if anybody says, is the amount of work and thought and money that's been put into this arboretum. You look at this, it is an amazing amount of work. And the things that I have such a a fondness for all the people that came before us and worked in there because there was a tremendous amount. The other thing I did put on the trees, by the way, I did put a list for memorial. There were some that were done as memorials, and I wanted to make sure that, you know, we captured those if I knew them. So there was, you know, Margaret Cassidy, she was a year chair. This is I don't know how to pronounce the name, Majetti Gee, Margaret Cassidy. Husband, Steve Gottlieb, Dennis Panu. So there were some nice names. I want to capture and make sure that we don't lose those memorials as well. To me, that's part of the history.
Well, I
So
think you did an amazing job capturing the history
Yeah.
here. This is fantastic. Thank you so much for putting in all that time. and
Yeah,
taking
thank
it
you,
away from
Sandra.
Tom.
You're welcome. And then from there, let's see if I've got this, and then we'll show Tom's. Just go there. Then I did working on I call it the walk guide, but it's becoming more of the master database right now. And then Philippa, my plan is it's just too big, but my
Yeah.
plan is that, oh, it looks like, okay. My plan is that we'll take what you need and we'll redesign it
Right.
properly. But at least we can capture all of it. So there's still a lot of things on this. But this tells a little bit about it. I've got to go through and add all the native twos now that I've done the research on that. And these are the stories.
Yeah, I found as many stories as I could that I sent to you about the trees.
Yeah. And you know, and of course, one of the things that happened, if you go back to the guide here, you'll find that I have notes over here. There's a ton of notes. There's lots of ones where the botanical names have changed. So some of the botanical names from the beginning were different than they are today. So trying to capture that as well. So these are the three arborvitaes that are behind the Seven Sons. So those were planted, I think it was in 1980 and to the 1990s. I think I have an exact date now, so I'll go back through if I can find it. The Chinese privet, we are finding them all over. They're probably going to go away. I would imagine we'll put this, so this might come off the list. So that was one of the things I was a little worried about, numbering things, because things might be going.
I think we can get the numbers correct, you know, when we decide what should be in the guide.
Yeah, so even in this, and when we show Tom's, you'll see how that's going to play out there too. So there's still some notes here. It's not done. Here's some views that were listed. There's some stories. So I'm not going to go through the whole thing. You guys have it. I now have a lot of the viburnum, names of the viburnums and the rhododendrons, and maybe we can identify those in the spring once they start blooming. So we can look at those, if not, at least find out where they all are. And then just went through the whole thing. So this is everything that we have here. And then there's Tom's stuff. Do you want to show yours?
Yeah, we'll pull up the map first.
I just wanted to say, if anybody wants to see the coral bark maple tree, it is looking stunning right now.
Oh, we saw that.
Isn't it beautiful? So you go to the south entrance and just walk down the entrance, and it's right there on your right. It's tree number 2, I think. And the stems are just this gorgeous coral color. It absolutely is stunning at the moment. Sorry, go ahead, Tom.
So, I mean, we've been, since we got on the committee, we're just struggling with the fact that didn't seem like there's any map or those hand-drawn maps of certain areas, and wanting to, you know, have something that went along with your walk guide. And so I was able to pull down aerial photographs and put in property lines and I pulled in contours and got them all labeled so we kind of can see,
Here, I'll get
How-
that close.
so you can really see how uh, terrain complicated this place is. And it's got a lot of, I think I looking at this morning is about 100 feet difference between the highest elevation and the lowest elevation on this site. Which
You
is
might
not
want to
surprising.
add that, actually, sorry to interrupt, but you might want to add that steep terrain under one of those issues. I mean, go
Right.
ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So as we developed, she expanded the walk guide list. We went around and tried to identify as many of them as possible. And there's still some on here that have question marks or open circles on them. But we've tried to make it so that every tree that is, first of all, it's like trying to identify them on an aerial photograph is a little complicated when it's very dense. But surprisingly, as the more I got into it, following the shadows of the trees they were able to pinpoint where most of the actual trees are.
So this is a work in progress. So these numbers will go to the master database, go on the master database so that future people will know, well, once we finish this, we'll have a good idea of what trees are still existing. It will then form the 2025 manifest. We'll be able to put on there that it's in there.
This is amazing. I mean, when I think that we tried to map things by hand on a piece of paper with plant where the trees were, to see something like this is phenomenal. Yeah.
Well, there's still stuff on here that needs to be identified. It's like some of the gardens, we can put some general areas on there so that people know to look in this area for the woodland garden and this area for, the shade garden. But that's going to take a little more work. And the other thing might be nice on here is to, I was thinking about trying to tone all the areas that are lawn areas so it's a little more clear where your areas to walk are.
Well, and that's what you did here with the concept. So we'll go over.
Yeah.
So Tom worked on one of the things that in his line of work is that it's easier to react and say what you like and don't like about something when you have something in front of you. So he did up actually a plan of the upper arboretum of what potentially the next 10 years could look like. So he did a little concept here.
Yeah, and so I mean, partly the idea of being able to do this, you need to have a map in the first place in order to even plan anything like this. So getting a map for the walk around guide was part of the reason to get a map, but the second reason was to actually make it so we can actually start planning for the future. And so this is Sandra and I worked together on various ideas and we really wanted to try to think about how the hardscape of a garden, planning for it, would greet people and let them see the area and give more opportunities. And the intent is that you might develop these areas and have walking paths and stairs and decks in the first part of the garden as the more intensely used areas, and then as you get down into the lower part of the garden, that we wouldn't need to necessarily have those paths, and allowing people just to stroll around the lawn areas like they've always done. So this has we started off by wanting to create an accessible route to an area behind the rain garden to really check out and be able to enjoy the cypress in a very close up way. This is an overlook, so it would be an elevated deck that actually acts as a kind of a main congregating area that's accessible from the parking area. And then there's one crabapple that is kind of in the midst of that, and that would just be coming up right through the deck, as you can see the green one there. And then there's we know that this area down here is kind of the area where people first enter the garden. So to me, it's a place where it has some seating. You might have some signage identifying different educational opportunities, so, but anyway, it also has this deck that can come down at a accessible grade to get you down to this area without having to actually have a ramp. But you have a direct connection with some stairs coming from a little entry area. I'm calling it entry terrace. One of the things that is kind of important to this is that we're trying to make the rain garden actually function the way it should. And so there's a curb, maybe a cobblestone type curb that runs along this edge and directs the water right down into the rain garden, stopping it from eroding this hillside. And same time, what's a challenging part of this is you've got an entry part over to the Cypress Overlook, which is happening right where water is entering the garden. So this ends up being a little elevated ramp to get you on this elevated deck right from the start, allowing water to pass underneath it and get into the rain garden. And then, well, the last two things we've got was from this learning terrace, you'd have a series of stairs that go all the way down to a garden node. It's just this route that right now is very steep, and it really needs to have it really should have stairs and to make it more easily traversed. And we also thought maybe a little picnic area could be something to complement this. And then we also have a second. Oh, get up there. There you go. So then there's a second route that brings you down over to the access road. What's interesting about this is that the Cypress Overlook you wouldn't even need a railing here anymore because you'd be level with the rain garden. So you could simply remove that barrier and allow this to be more open with only a railing on the outer edge, and probably actually down along this ramp getting over to the entry garden. So that's
One
first
idea.
thoughts. Yeah, and we certainly, and we did throw in this, it's not currently a lily garden, but that's the area Sandra was talking about. As it's fairly sunny, it might be an opportunity to put those lilies in a place that will work better for them, and would be a nice colorful entry point into the garden.
That's where Kirsten's gonna come in, because that's her expertise, not mine. I was just saying we were gonna have to dig them up and stick them somewhere.
Kristen had to go to another meeting, so she has left us. But yeah.
I have another meeting too. Philippa, I made you the host so you guys can stay on my Zoom. So
Okay,
you should be all set.
Yeah, I saw the message. Thank you, Sarah. Do you have anything you want to add to this? What do you think about this conceptual idea? just as a, I mean,
I think it's
a dream.
awesome. I think that this is a lot of private funding.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
We're
yeah.
Huge.
having, as I talk about in class today, how you want to have high aspirations and
I
that you
think-
make high aspirations so you meet them at least a little bit. Okay, but I do
Yeah.
have to go.
Yeah.
Right. This actually, I don't know
Thank you, Sarah.
if,
Bye, Sarah.
Bye, Sarah.
Bye.
Yes, Noreen, you had something to say?
I don't know if Connecticut Deep will do it, will offer this again in this budget year, which will probably prove to be, as they say, challenging. But in years past, they have had a grant program that is open to municipalities, which I think Woodstock would qualify. I don't think that just means New Haven, for planning and designing of trails. And I don't know the exact amount that's available. They had 10 million available total. I don't know what the size of each individual grant can be, but it's substantial. It does require a 20% fund. The entity would have to come up with 20%, but the state would fund 80%. They haven't released that for this year yet, but if they do, this would be a perfect project.
That's a great, thank you for, sharing that
Yeah.
information. It's terrific. I mean, I can see the town being excited that somebody else would come up with 80%,
Well, right, if they came up with 80%, the town might be willing to come up with the other 20. I mean, that, to me, that sounds very generous.
But that's also,
and
I think,
maybe,
you go ahead. I'm
and
sorry.
there may be also could be fundraising again,
Mhm.
for that, but anyway.
That goes
it's
back to
just a-
those bullet points of, if, what, being able to work on that sort of thing. We as a committee have to decide where we want to go. And so.
Right.
this-
But
and-
But if
and-
this were to, be part of it, I think that this would be a great candidate for something like that.
Yeah, I think this is an exciting vision, Tom. I mean, it's great to have a dream and then to have it visually presented like this.
And this
And
is
it's
like
also-
Sam
it's
and I's work together. We kind of went back and forth and we actually had a couple versions before this and this is not solid, this is something that we're open to suggestions from other people and
Well, we have to be,
additions
yeah.
or eliminations or
Mhm.
changes or
We just wanted to get, like I was telling you, Philip, I said, we wanted to get something down that people could understand and go, wow, I never thought of that. It could looks totally different if it even goes through.
Right.
If you don't, like Sarah says, if you don't reach for the stars, you're gonna get nothing.
Mhm.
So you gotta have, but being able to, Tom's got that unique ability to be able to put it into a drawing that says, this is what we could do.
Mhm.
Or something like it. I mean, somebody might say, well, let's do something else. And, what about this? Or what if we did this? And, it's meant to stimulate conversation
Mhm.
and ideas.
Yeah. And I think that it's beautiful to have something tangible like this, because you can start to talk about it and go there and imagine it. And that elevated platform, the Cypress overlook, when we were standing there, I was thinking, how exciting would that be to be able to move out above the ground like that and feel like you were right up in the trees. You're really inside the trees. It's a very exciting kind of concept.
And I was thinking, like, at the Learning Terrace, you could put, we could get, and it could be somewhere there, again, just throwing out ideas, is once they cut that beach down, we could shellac a cross section of it and talk about tree rings and we can talk about viruses and declines and all sorts of things. So you could do something like that down there.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Well, and what Tom had, I don't know if you can see it on here, but half of this is brown. He was thinking this would be like a stone wall around a paved area, and the stone wall would be
like a seat wall.
Like a seat wall. So you could sit there with your back towards here, and I could just imagine,
It could be a teaching space, like outdoor classroom where kids come and teacher brings them there, or it's a place that you come to prior to going on a walk altogether. It's a gathering place before departing down into the Arboretum.
And I like the safer walk down that hill, because that hill can be very scary when you've got people with some physical handicaps and you're leading a walk around
It's
them.
really scary when the ginkgo biloba falls and it's all slimy and then it, no.
Oh,
John,
yes.
do you know something about that too?
Yes, yes. Okay, any other thoughts, comments, questions about this? Thank you so much, both of you, for the hours of work you've put into this. This has been amazing.
Well, spring's
I-
coming and nothing's gonna get done in the computer until next winter now.
Right. I know we lost Kristen and Sarah, and I think we lost Noreen too. And it's about, it's 7 o'clock, so we should be
Okay.
winding it up. The agenda, I think we've covered the other 3 things. The walkabout guide, the brochure, the long-term plan development. Anything else that we need to address? John, do we need to send some, apply to the garden club, or what do we need to do about this grant?
We have
the
a
garden.
specific ask, then we would need to do a grant request for the garden club. I have no idea what that form is, but I think I said in my email to you, and I'm not sure I copied everybody. I think I may have sent it just to you, Philippa. But they have a big grant from somewhere to spend over the next 2 or 3 years for however they want to, that's matches up with their mission.
Okay, I have the email in front of me. They received $10,000 grant for civic projects, which is to be paid out over the next 2 years before December the 1st, 2026. We could apply for a piece of that, but we need to, it doesn't, you don't say how we apply.
Because I don't know, but I can find out.
Could you find out? That would be great, yeah.
But I think the answer would be, this is off the top of my head. Let's say we decide we want to replace the poplar that fell down. Then find out what a poplar of a reasonable size costs and say we like, I'm going to say $2,500 for a 10-foot poplar to put here. And that fits in with our overall plan to keep the Arboretum in good shape.
And do we know if poplars are going to be surviving in Connecticut?
Have no idea. I use that as an example. Pick
Right.
something else if that doesn't work.
Yeah, I just think we need to make sure. I mean, I like that example, but I think we need to make sure that whatever tree we're wanting to put in is adjusting to climate change.
Well, they're probably varieties from further south that there are a lot of trees that are now quite common further south of here that
Right.
wouldn't manage because of our winters, but as the winters warm, they might.
Does our tree guys have any, do they have lists of any, like, or even like Hull forestry are there any local lists of trees like that?
I haven't seen any local lists, but doesn't mean we couldn't ask them for it. We can certainly ask and say, what would they recommend? Because I think that would be an appropriate thing to do is find out what is recommended to put in. I mean, the 2 trees that we put in, the swamp oak and the weeping evergreen, were recommended as trees to put in that would survive climate change.
And I think, reaching out to other arboretums is probably a good solution too, because they've been doing this for a long time. And I mean, maybe we have too, but they've been doing it longer with more staff and more resources than we have. And so they probably have I just think arboretums, they probably have ways of acquiring more unusual plants and probably more ideas of what's appropriate too. So
Okay.
I think.
Okay, John, could you find out, if there's a deadline for that application and how one applies?
Yes, because the woman, Michelle, I've lost her last name, is the chair of the civic committee.
Mhm.
And I owe her a note on another matter, so I can just ask her about if they've come up with a plan to applications for that grant.
Okay, terrific. I can call the Arnold Arboretum and see if they can give me a list of trees or recommendations.
That would be good, yeah.
Because that's a good arboretum for us to connect with after all your research, Sandra.
Yeah. Tell
I
them we
will
have a
do
bunch of
that.
their original trees.
Yeah, I will call the Arnold Arboretum, and if you, John, could check with Michelle and see, we can get that.
Yep.
I'm sure there's got to be a deadline that we have to get that in for.
Yeah,
And
there was
Sandra, sorry, go ahead.
the garden club meeting this past Monday. A landscape design guy spoke who has worked for the Arnold Arboretum. He now lives down in Chaplin.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, good.
Oh, nice. Do you remember his name?
Brian somebody or another. I can conjure it up somehow. He gave an interesting talk on not so much put this tree here kind of thing, but what are the factors you should consider?
Oh, that's interesting.
Great.
Okay. And
And
Sandra, you and I meet tomorrow
the
after.
garden, the
Yeah.
Federal Garden Clubs is sponsoring a virtual landscape design course starting next week.
What is a virtual landscape design course?
Zoom, not in person. So
Oh, so-
spend 3 days looking at your computer.
Hmm. Okay.
Well, the National Garden Clubs has a certification process for landscape design.
Uh-huh.
And so we offer these courses a couple of times a year, and there's a series of 4 you take and you can become certified. And we have people from all over the country who sign in because they need this particular course offering to fill out their check mark.
Interesting. And when is it?
I think it may start, it may be the 20th or the 21st, something like it's later this month.
Is it free?
No, we make money. It's $105 if you want to take the test so you can get your certification. If you're just interested in the material, it's $100.
Gotcha.
The test is just $5 more. Huh.
Well, we have to pay NGC $5 a head to have them bless the test and stuff.
I see. Okay.
Can I just ask for an update of how did things go when you guys submitted the budget and
Right.
how did that go? Did you get a response or any
No
feedback?
response. And there's a link. I got an email from the town either late yesterday or first thing this morning about the budget hearings that are going to start.
Yeah.
And there was a link. I think there is a draft budget out there, but I've not looked at it yet.
Okay.
Okay, great.
I also, oh, go ahead.
Ed?
I
Go
just
ahead.
wanted to share that I am going to be in Paris for our next meeting, so I won't be here. So if someone else could take minutes, I'd be grateful.
I don't think we're gonna be, are we gonna be here?
It's April 4th
I think we'll be back.
or April 2nd. I'm sorry, April 2nd.
Okay, I'll be
We
here.
come back on the 1st.
Okay.
Okay, great. Oh,
I-
Paris, Denise, how lovely.
Yes.
Very, very nice. We
Mhm.
can't tell you can't go.
Thank you. Thank you.
You have a wonderful time there.
Thank
Um,
you.
Okay, so Brian, you're going to check with the Brian. No, Brian's the name of the guy at the Arnold Arboretum. John, you're going to check with what the form is, the application for the grant. I'm
Yep.
going to call Arnold Arboretum. Sandra, you and I are going to meet tomorrow after class to get this thing sent in, and we're all set. Any other business?
Nope.
Nope. Thank you all very much, particularly Tom and Sandra. You've been amazing. And as always, Denise, thank you so much for taking the minutes.
Happy
Thank you.
to.
Great minute taker. And John, thanks to your ideas. Everybody, it's a great committee we have here. That's one of our strengths.
Right.
Good night, everybody.
Good
Good
night,
night.
everyone. See you soon.
Yep.